Hey there folks, welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, art, and culture. And today we're going to be talking about the debut album from Brothers Osborne, titled Pawn Shop. So I've talked before about how when mainstream country hits upon a formula, hell, when any genre hits upon a formula, the major labels will try everything in their power to replicate it to usually poor results. And when Florida Georgia Line struck it big with Cruise in late 2012, label executives began looking for duos that could slide in to replicate the success of that act, preferably under the whole new bro country trend. The problem was that bro country was a trend. It crested and crashed relatively quickly, with 2013 being the peak before the crash and replacement with the whole metropolitan R&B leaning trend. So acts that might have been primed to be pushed in that direction by the label had to be either retooled or refocused. Now this seemed to be the case with Brothers Osborne, a country duo whose band name could literally be shortened and amalgamated to spell out bros, but after a single Let's Go There only caught minor traction on the airplay charts, they got a welcome boost for being a favorite opening act of Eric Church. Now this led to a team up with his main producer Jay Joyce, where a retooling of their track Stay a Little Longer for release almost a year ago, around the time they took the preemptive step of distancing themselves from bro country as a whole. And as luck would have it, it's made significantly more of an impact in recent weeks, as Stay a Little Longer has broken the top 5 on country airplay and charting real impact in the Hot 100 itself as we speak. So as such, given that I didn't really mind Stay a Little Longer, I decided to check out their debut record Pawn Shop. After all, they were the primary songwriters on all of their songs, and while Jay Joyce's presence did kinda concern me, I'm not gonna deny his work with Eric Church on Mr. Misunderstood showed measurable improvements across the board as one of my favorite country albums of 2015. So, did Pawn Shop deliver? Well, much to my surprise, it mostly did. Like Untamed by Cam, this record can feel a little bit lumpy and misshapen, but it's hard not to see some of that as symptomatic of a debut that's just been too long in coming rather than a lack of identity. Although, unlike Cam, I can definitely see a more firmly defined vocal personality in Brothers Osborne that comes with cultivating a rough-edged, ramshackle vibe that can follow in Eric Church's wake pretty damn well. It's no surprise he's tapped them for touring so often. In other words, this is a pretty damn enjoyable listen. Uneven for sure, but with plenty of personality that can show a duo with versatility and real promise. A good record? Maybe not a great one, but still enjoyable. So how do we get all this? Well, let's start off with the brothers themselves, TJ and John. The former who handles the acoustic guitar and lead vocals, and the latter who handles pretty much everything else, including a variety of guitars that never seem the same twice from song to song. I'll come back to this in a little bit. But what many people will immediately notice is TJ's vocal tone. Yeah, the Toby Keith comparison is immediate and obvious, but TJ is playing things a little bit more serious and level-headed, and he dips into his lower baritone and basso range a lot more than you would otherwise expect. On the one hand, this gives songs like the title track and the standout album closer It Ain't My Fault a ton of unique vocal personality, but on the other hand, there are points where it can feel a little bit too reserved to really belt and get more expressive over his rougher, heavier instrumentation, and I'm fairly certain he's got the pipes for it in a Randy Houser or Chris Young vein. And on the topic of pipes, I definitely respect that he brought on board Ann Womack for Loving Me Back. She might just help on the hook, but the production is balanced just well enough for her fire to come through plenty clear. She sounds great on the song, it's a real highlight. Now, granted, production is a massive can of worms to open with this album, so might as well tackle it now. I'm not gonna say that Jay Joyce's work is as scattershot as it was on The Outsiders or Little Big Town's Painkiller or that work he did with Hailstorm, but the record is overproduced. The mix balance alternately showing all sorts of exposed, ragged edges, including some of the dirtiest percussion I've heard in country this far, before smoothing everything out to feel a little bit too clean at spots. And what gets exasperating isn't so much that the production itself, but all the inconsistency, because the standout moments don't really feel consistent even with each other. I actually really like the smoother reverb touch melody and bass of 21 Summer, even how those backing vocals are layered, but when you flip it to the oddly brighter tones of Heart-Shaped Locket, the higher pitch and the whistle just feels out of place and kinda jarring, especially with the lyrical subject matter. Similarly, when this album cranks up the rough edges, you can get lumbering, snarled songs like the title track with the Hammond organ and a filthy groove that works incredibly well, but then you get it stripped back and ragged on the beach track Rum or the Ode to Being Broke on Dirt Rich. It just doesn't fit as well for me. Even on points where Jay Joyce tries to find a balance where things can get kinda weird, like the swampy filter and the pre-chorus vocals that Stay a Little Longer before the 2 solid minutes of guitar solos. Yeah, definitely don't want the radio edit of this song because the guitar work is excellent. Or on the oddly lo-fi vocal pickup on American Crazy against the bright and breezy guitar that reminded me of American Authors of all things. point. It almost makes me think that Jay Joy should just get the hell out of the way and let these guys play country music, because tracks like lower country rock snarl like Loving Me Back, Down Home, and It Ain't My Fault are damn potent even without all those gimmicks. But you know what? I'm not gonna lie that the one thing Jay Joyce absolutely nails is giving this album a thick enough foundation to support the vocals while maintaining a lot of real melody here. There's weight and presence and texture to this album that might not slide neatly next to most mainstream country and pretty much knock Sam Hunt off the shelves, but on a fundamental level, it feels pretty damn cohesive. I actually like a lot of these songs more than I don't. And what's interesting is how much of that is paralleled in the lyrics. As I said before, the Brothers Osborne are the primary writers across every single song on this album, with the weakest song having 2 co-writers with DJ. And that is saying something, because there is a distinctive lyrical voice here, with a sort of rough-edged detail that you rarely see in mainstream country anymore, especially with the onset of bro country. The title track is the best possible example. It might be the place where you can buy everything in that pawn shop, but it's framed as being believably seedy in those transactions. That sort of smart framing also comes onto 21 Summer. He remembers the girl who took his virginity and how he'd go through the heartbreak again just to be with her, but also how he wishes that she's still running wild and having fun, and that's not really gonna happen together, that reconnection. I like how Stay a Little Longer shows the complicated emotions that come with an on and off again relationship, or a friends with benefits situation where feelings might be there underneath, or the tribute to the crowd that he gets the real endorphin high on Loving Me Back, or the swaggering hard party bravado with goddamn great lyrical cadence and flow on It Ain't My Fault. Definitely the album highlight, because all he's guilty of is a damn good time, and I believe it because that song's awesome. That said, if I were to highlight an area where this album does stumble a bit, it would be in the writing, because there's a few songs that feel a little bit too broad, like American Crazy and Just Go For Broke there, or push the ramshackle, broke but content vibe a little bit too hard, like Dirt Rich and Rum. And then there's Heart-Shaped Locket, and look, I like how the song is framed, how she says she's going out with the girls, but it really is cheating on him, and how he knows that, but he's second-guessing himself, but he's eventually proven right. But look, this is not The Thunder Rolls, and the tone feels bizarrely too bright to really fit in with the melancholic darkness of the subject matter. Hell, I even think Shawn Mendes got this right with I Know What You Did Last Summer, which at least tries to infuse the song with more drama, which Heart-Shaped Locket seems to avoid. Honestly, because of that, it's probably my least favorite song on this album. But you know what, putting all that aside, I enjoyed Pawn Shop a fair bit more than I expected I would. Sure, it's got uneven patches, but it is a distinctive voice that's well balanced with some very solid instrumentation. The guitar work is extremely strong here, especially, and writing that's got a lot of potential here. I'm not quite certain they're the modern day equivalent of Brooks and Dunn or anything like that, although with a few songs that lean more towards neo-traditional sounds, they're a damn closer parallel than Florida Georgia Line have ever been, that's for damn sure. So for me, I'm thinking a solid 7 out of 10, definitely a recommendation. It might not have blown me out of the water by any country records just yet thus far in 2016, but you know what? This is a solid start. Check this out. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If you'd like to like and subscribe, I'd be more than grateful. Anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, or any other albums coming out that you want me to take a look at, I will try to give them a listen. Next week is going to get crazy busy from everything I've heard. And yes, probably next time it's going to be Ty Segall and Savages, and yeah, I'm probably going to talk about Megadeth. But till then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.